At an early stage in the career of every aspirant, time comes when he recognizes the achievement of integration in his own being as his most urgent need. The ordinary good man who has not awakened to his higher possibilities tries to follow his conscience, to be sure, but he is content to act on the personal basis of good feelings, and is not conscious of lack of integration. That consciousness marks the entrance into the depressing no man's land that stretches between goodness and spirituality, between the personal and the individual consciousness, and that has to be crossed sooner or later by every human soul. One of its most painful characteristics is the apparent conflict of duties, which inevitably arises and which will never be completely resolved until integration on the basis of the higher nature is achieved. When the caterpillar comes to the end of a leaf, it reaches forth to another foothold and draws itself over to it. The man who has lost his integration on the basis of the personal nature and has not yet achieved integration centered in his higher nature is in the uncomfortable position of the caterpillar suspended, as it were, in space, with secure foothold neither on the leaf he is trying to leave behind, nor on that to which he is stretching out. No matter how limited the perception, if the consciousness but functions as a unit, there is a certain consistency in action, a sense of orientation in a known direction, of belonging in the world and where one finds oneself. That is the envy of the man who has lost his orientation on the basis of the personal nature, but has not yet achieved the new in terms of his immortal self. He finds himself speaking, acting, feeling, thinking in a manner which he recognizes as being not in harmony with his true nature. Sometimes the inharmonious nature of his thought, feeling, or action strikes him at once with the acute discomfort of a clanging discord. In other cases he recognizes the disharmony only when he attempts to review his day in light of the higher self, and of the great virtues which are the pattern to which he seeks to make his life conform. But whenever recognition comes, it brings with it an almost intolerable sense of violated integrity, of what one might describe as psychic disjointedness, and a passionate wish, as Mr. Crosby puts it, to work as the God-man, perfect in all his parts, instead of the present sectional operation which obtains. For the fact that lack of integration is a stage through which all must at some time pass, does not justify resignation to it. In fact, the more intensely the disjointedness in consciousness is felt, the more unbearable does it become, and the stronger grows the urge to achieve integration at whatever cost. This is one aspect of the abyss which the aspirant finds behind himself, unaware of having crossed it, and over which there is no retreat. Sometimes, having forced himself into the circle of ascetics, he is not cognizant of the fact that he has come unprepared. And so he goes round and round his old grooves of thought, his old movements of feelings, his old modes of speech, and his old ways of acting, all the time fancying that he is making progress. Thus valuable time is wasted which might have been put to real use. Till Arjuna saw his duty, he was not able to take up his bow and arrow and perform it. Once the need for integration is perceived, what can one do to hasten its achievement? Of course, every effort to control the lower nature and to make it responsive to the higher has integration as its ultimate aim. But there is a right way and a wrong way of going about the achievement of such control. Theosophy gives us some valuable hints. One is that we assert firmly and often that we are not the instruments which make up our personality, any more than we are the circumstances that surround those instruments, not overlooking, however, that we ourselves forged those instruments, and we ourselves created those circumstances. The way to control is not by attack in detail, adopting the modern approach, from particulars to universals, but the ancient way of going from universals to particulars. Writes Mr. Crosby. Begin with the idea, attitude, and purpose of control in all things that concern the vassals of our house. The advance would then be all along the line, and the habit of control established, the balance preserved. It sums itself up in my mind as the establishment of control itself, irrespective of the things controlled. Take the position that you never fail, nor fall, nor slip back, but that you have not been constant and careful in your guidance of your responsive but irresponsible instrument. Hence you feel the effects through it of your lack of care. Get hold of it, take care of it, guide it, use it, but be the self. The man that is, that was, that ever shall be, to whom all these things are but fleeting shadows.